I was released from the hospital earlier than expected, a pleasant surprise that I thought would brighten up my day. With a sense of eager anticipation, I decided to quietly return home, hoping to surprise my husband, John. The thought of his astonished face brought a small smile to my lips as I imagined the scene. However, nothing could have prepared me for what awaited me at home. As I opened the door, the first thing I noticed was a pair of unfamiliar shoes in the entrance. Puzzled, I stepped inside, my heart starting to race with a mix of confusion and a sinking feeling. That's when I saw John, my husband, in the living room. But he was not alone. There, sitting too close for comfort, was a woman I had never seen before, laughing at something John had said. In that moment, a crushing realization hit me like a ton of bricks. All this time, while I was enduring the struggles and pains of childbirth, my husband, John, was betraying me with his infidelity. The thought of it was unbearable, a betrayal so deep it felt like a physical wound. A storm of emotions whirled inside me: anger, disbelief, hurt, and a sense of betrayal so intense it threatened to consume me. It was a moment of profound revelation, one that would change everything. My name is Sarah, a 28-year-old working woman, resilient and grounded. After graduating from university, I had landed a job at a major corporation. I was proud of my career, having worked tirelessly to climb the corporate ladder, carving a niche for myself as a dedicated career woman. However, as the years passed and I saw my friends and colleagues getting married and starting families, a sense of urgency crept in. I too began to yearn for a partner, a family of my own. That's when I met John, the man who would become my husband. Our connection was instant, a spark that quickly blossomed into love. Our relationship progressed rapidly, and soon we found ourselves walking down the aisle, ready to embark on a new life together. We were a team, both working hard but always finding time for each other, building a life filled with shared dreams and hopes. Then came the news that I was pregnant. It was a joyful surprise, a new chapter in our lives. I was determined to balance motherhood with my career, planning to return to work soon after the baby's arrival. My company was supportive, granting me maternity leave without hesitation, something for which I was immensely grateful. John, too, seemed overjoyed at the prospect of becoming a father. We both envisioned a happy family, a home filled with love and laughter. But deep down, I had my fears. During my hospital stay for the birth, John would be alone at home. Although he was a grown man, capable in many ways, domestic chores were not his forte. He struggled with the simplest of household tasks. Laundry, cleaning, cooking were all alien concepts to him. I had always taken care of these things, and in my absence, I worried about how he would manage. I suggested maybe asking his parents, Linda and Michael, for help while I was in the hospital. Why don't I ask them to come over and help you out? I proposed, concerned about how he would cope. John, however, was dismissive of the idea.
Don't worry about it, Sarah.
He assured me.
I can handle things on my own. You just focus on the birth. That's the most important thing right now.
I wanted to believe him, to trust that he would be fine on his own. So I put my worries aside and concentrated on preparing for our baby's arrival. We spent weekends shopping for baby supplies, our excitement growing as the due date drew nearer. As my pregnancy reached its final stages, I made sure John was always reachable, just in case labor started unexpectedly. But when that moment finally came, when the first labor pains hit, I couldn't reach him. The pain was unbearable, and in desperation, I called Linda, asking her to take me to the hospital. In the midst of the intense labor pains, I managed to send a brief message to John, telling him, I'm going to the hospital now, and it's likely I'll be admitted. I had hoped for more from John, but all I received in response was a terse hang-in-there message. John had always expressed a desire to be present for the birth, and I had informed the hospital staff of this. As the labor intensified, bringing me to the brink of childbirth, I realized with a sinking heart that John was nowhere to be seen. I had no time to process his absence as the overwhelming need to push took over. With tremendous effort, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Holding my newborn son, I felt a surge of happiness, a moment of pure joy amidst the pain and exhaustion. As time passed and I regained some strength and composure, I asked a nurse about John's whereabouts. Excuse me, has John come by? I inquired, a twinge of worry in my voice. The nurse's response was disheartening.
He said he's too busy with work to come, and asked to pass his regards to you.
I was taken aback by this explanation. John being too busy with work was unheard of. My concern for him deepened, wondering what could have possibly happened. Throughout my hospital stay, John never visited. Even when I sent him photos of our child, there was no response. The silence was agonizing, especially considering how much he had looked forward to our baby's birth. I worried about how he was managing at home and why he hadn't contacted me. Though I wanted to focus solely on our newborn, my concern for John weighed heavily on me, adding to my physical and emotional exhaustion. Then came unexpected good news. I had been told to expect a 7-night stay in the hospital for my first child, but to my relief, I was informed that I could go home after just 5 nights. Eager to surprise John, who was unaware of my early discharge, I decided not to contact him and planned a surprise return home. On the day of my discharge, I prepared to leave and asked my in-laws, Linda and Michael, to pick me up. They were overjoyed with the birth of their grandchild. I was excited, anticipating John's happiness, similar to his parents, as we headed home. Upon arrival, I noticed John's car in the driveway, which was odd considering he should have been at work. I felt something was amiss and entered the house quietly with Linda and Michael. In the entrance, I saw a pair of women's high heels, elegant and tall, that were certainly not mine. John has a sister, so I briefly wondered if she might be visiting. With this thought, I quietly moved toward the living room, holding our newborn, eager to see John's reaction to our surprise. As I reached for the living room door, I heard John's voice, followed by a woman's.
Time flies when I'm with Emily. It's almost painful.
John, you really love me, don't you?
The woman's voice didn't match John's sister's. Confused, I paused, gesturing to my in-laws to listen quietly as I pointed toward the living room. I wanted them to hear what was happening, to understand the situation together.
You know, I seriously don't mind if she stays in the hospital forever. Because she's there. I can spend time with Emily like this.
John said casually, his voice tinged with a carelessness that shocked me.
It's kind of sad for your wife, don't you think?
Emily responded, her tone laced with a mix of sympathy and mischief.
It's fine. Ever since she got pregnant, she's been nothing but a belly and hips, like some kind of ancient statue. It's unbearable. I only married her because the company she works for pays well.
John's words cut through me like a knife.
If your husband said that to her, it would be so hurtful.
Emily remarked, her voice softening slightly.
But seriously, she didn't have anything going for her except money. And now she's getting fatter. That's just the end. Absolutely not happening.
John continued, his words filled with disdain and a lack of empathy that stunned me. I stood there, frozen, as their conversation about me went on, filled with cruel laughter and heartless jibes.
If Emily wasn't here, I'd be so done. My wife is too serious. Talking to her is just boring.
John laughed.
And pretending to be excited about the kid. Honestly, I have no intention of helping with raising him.
His words pierced, overwhelmed and distraught, I left the house with my parents-in-laws, cradling my precious newborn son in my arms. How could John act like this when we had just welcomed our beautiful son into the world? The reality of the situation was too much to bear, and I found myself lost in a daze. Then, to my surprise, Linda and Michael bowed their heads to me in apology. I knew it wasn't their fault, but in that moment, I couldn't process their gesture. Fresh from childbirth, my emotions were a whirlwind of tears and anger, the feelings so intense and conflicting that I struggled to stay composed. But I couldn't let myself be defeated. I decided to confront John and Emily again, leaving my son safely with Linda and Michael. When I returned to the house, I found them in the our bedroom, where a bed had been set up for me, John, and our newborn. Instead, they were there, enjoying themselves. John was whispering sweet things to Emily.
You're everything to me.
I should have confronted them right then, but the shock of the situation rendered me unable to face the harsh reality. Quietly, I retreated to my car, tears streaming down my face uncontrollably. Seeing my distress, Linda also began to cry. I returned to the car where my son and in-laws were waiting and decided to go to their house. My own home was too far away to travel with a small child. Once at my in-laws' house, after settling my son to sleep, we sat down to talk.
I'm so sorry. At a time when you need support the most, our son. He's doing such things.
Linda said, her voice filled with remorse.
I don't know what to say. We're truly sorry.
Michael added, his face etched with concern. No, I still can't accept this as reality. I can't believe John would do something like this. I replied, my voice trailing off into silence. Gradually, my sadness turned to anger. How dare he cheat on me while I was struggling with childbirth, and even insult my appearance during pregnancy? He was the enemy of all women. I'm divorcing John, I declared firmly to my in-laws, Linda and Michael. Their response was filled with understanding and sorrow.
That's probably best for you, Sarah.
Lindy agreed.
We're truly sorry about this.
Michael added, his voice heavy with regret. I need your help with the divorce, I requested, seeking their support in this difficult time.
Of course, we'll do anything we can to help.
Linda assured me, her eyes meeting mine with a resolve that strengthened my determination.
Just tell us what you need.
Michael said, ready to stand by my side. Feeling empowered by their support, I vowed to take my revenge on John. I lied to him, saying, I have severe anemia, and my hospital stay is extended by 2 more days. For the first time in a while, John reached out.
Are you okay? It's safer in the hospital. So stay there until you feel better.
He texted, his words lacking genuine concern. The longer hospital stay will cost more, so I'll come home once the anemia settles down. I was supposed to come back on Sunday, but now it will be Tuesday. I replied, testing his reaction. He responded with a simple thumbs up emoji, acknowledging my message. Since returning home was not an option, I decided to stay with Linda and Michael. However, there were things I needed for our son at home, so I decided to check on the house. To my surprise, John's car was parked outside. He was supposed to be at work, so why was his car there in the middle of the day? I called John's company, pretending to be a business contact. Is John Smith available? I inquired.
Sorry, but he's on paternity leave for a week.
The response came.
He wanted to support his wife who's giving birth. If you have any urgent matters, we can assist you.
So, he's not there for his family or child, but for something else? I thought to myself, remembering how John had called his mistress Emily when I caught them together. I asked the company if someone named Emily worked there.
Sorry, Emily is on leave for a week due to a family emergency. Can we help with anything urgent?
They replied. I hung up the phone, my suspicions confirmed. John was cheating with a colleague. Disgusted and hurt, I waited outside, watching the house. A few minutes later, John and Emily emerged and left together. Where could they be going, skipping work like this? I wondered. Once they were gone, I entered the house. I gathered all the essentials, baby items for my son, and valuables, deciding to take everything with me. As I checked the house for the last time, memories of John and our life together flooded back. The house we had bought as a couple, a modest home we chose for our future where we planned to raise our family, this very house where John betrayed us. The thought filled me with uncontainable anger. Around the house, Emily's belongings were scattered, a painful reminder of the deceit. In the bathroom, her underwear and shampoo were carelessly left out, turning my stomach. All the time we had spent building our life together, what was it all for? I felt a mix of disgust and disbelief. Leaving the house, I went straight to a lawyer to begin the divorce process, discussing alimony and child support. I had realized everything when I called his office, but I needed solid proof. So I hired a detective agency to gather evidence, not wanting to taint my memories of our child with photos of John's betrayal. I also called my parents to inform them of John's affair and our impending divorce. They immediately told me to come home. I'll come back once things settle down. I'm sorry for the trouble, I said.
Don't be silly. Parents never find their children a burden. You're a mother now. You'll understand this feeling one day.
My mother comforted me. Returning to my in-laws, we planned our next move. John deserved a payback, not just double, but quadruple for what he did to me and our son. While strategizing, the detective agency called with good news they had obtained solid evidence. They promised to keep it safe until we needed it. After leaving our son with my parents, my in-laws and I headed to John's house where he and Emily were. We could hear them talking from outside the room they were in, likely enjoying themselves on the bed. Suddenly, Linda and Michael burst into the room, camera in hand, capturing John and Emily's shocked faces. John was visibly flustered, while Emily hurled insults at my in-laws.
What's with these old people? They look like intruders. John, call the police.
Emily exclaimed in alarm, still in her underwear.
No, they're my parents.
John said, his voice a mix of embarrassment and disbelief. Emily's face changed instantly as she awkwardly greeted.
Nice to meet you. I'm Emily. Sorry you had to see me like this.
Linda's response was cold and cutting.
No need for pleasantries. We won't be seeing each other again.
Michael barked at them.
Get dressed, both of you. This is shameful.
Hastily, John and Emily scrambled to put on their clothes. That's when I made my appearance, much to John's surprise.
Why are you here? Aren't you still in the hospital?
He asked, confusion written all over his face. I've been out for a few days now, I responded calmly. John was visibly shocked. Your paternity leave must have been so exhausting. How's the baby? And your wife? I asked sarcastically. You wouldn't know, right? You've been busy with your mistress. John stammered, trying to find the right words, while Emily just stood there, unsure of how to react. I continued, dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, sorry, I forgot. You don't want to be with me because I gained weight during pregnancy. My money is all you care about, right?" John couldn't respond. A voice chimed in.
She's actually quite beautiful, isn't she?
I thanked them but made it clear that my anger towards John hadn't subsided. Pregnancy isn't about getting fat. It's about nurturing a life that grows inside a 3-kilo baby in my belly. Of course, it's going to get bigger. I turned to Emily. "You should be careful. He cheats on his pregnant wife." John tried to justify himself.
I felt lonely after you got pregnant. You stopped paying attention to me.
Emily tried to defend herself.
He approached me. I couldn't say no.
John retorted.
It was you who initiated it.
Emily fired back.
No, it was you.
Michael intervened.
Stop this disgraceful quarrel. Aren't you ashamed of yourselves?
Both of them fell silent, and Emily looked visibly shaken. "It doesn't matter now. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I despise cheaters. I want a divorce," I declared firmly. John was stunned.
Divorce? We just had a baby. Think about our child.
I was the one who made things pitiable in the first place. I shot back. Linda and Michael firmly told John,
"You're going to pay double in alimony and child support. You better take responsibility."
John pleaded.
At least let me see my son one last time. He's my child too.
I replied coldly. "You don't want to see someone who got fat, right? I don't want you near him either. We'll discuss alimony and child support with a lawyer." As John begged,
Please reconsider. For our child, for me, for you.
I knew my decision was final. This is best for everyone. And you, I said, turning to Emily, "You're also responsible for the affair. You'll be paying too." Emily protested.
Me? But I was just following his lead.
"Knowing about me and still having an affair. Sorry, you'll have to pay too," I stated firmly. Shocked, Emily and John were left speechless as we left the house. The divorce went through, and I received the alimony and child support I sought. John and Emily, who had their affair at work too, were fired. They were struggling financially, burdened with debt and jobless. John, who had falsely claimed paternity leave, had to repay the benefits. My in-laws cut ties with him, and he was left with nothing but his debts, resorting to odd jobs for survival. Emily and John's relationship, strained by financial woes, eventually ended. As for me, I started a new life near my parents, focusing on raising my child with their loving support.